Welcome. Hi, this is TC Eckstein of TC Eckstein Cafe TV. And today I'd like to talk to you about heart disease. Heart disease is the #1 killer among women. And its numbers are staggering in that how much it affects the African American community and people of the Latino community in rural and urban areas. Why, you ask? Well, a lot of things play into factors. Cultural issues, our diets, our economic situations, our finances, what we can afford to eat, what we can't afford to eat, genetics. Did our parents or someone in the family have heart disease or high blood pressure? Regardless, it's running rampant and it's attacking a lot of our lives. I myself have been a leading lady of Go Red for Women, spokeswoman and advocate in 2010 for Central Mass, which is near Boston. And this past year, 2016, I won again leading lady, Go Red of Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts, and spokeswoman for Massachusetts, which is a great honor. And I'm just looking forward to all that I can do to help out with the American Heart Association in 2017 and being a part of their walkathon and fundraising and educating, and when I perform also having tables set up at different functions to educate others and all that. So remember, February is Heart Month. February 3rd is Wear Red Day. I'm not wearing it today, but I do have my Go Red pin on, the red dress, a little red dress. So you'll be seeing me wearing a lot of red, talking about Go Red, and different PSAs, public service announcements, will be airing on TC Eckstein Cafe TV to let you know all about heart disease and give you some little information here and there. But if you're interested and you need to know more about it, which it never hurts to get more education on it, trust me, I'm a heart disease survivor, and the Heart Association has literally kept me going for a long time. I was told in 2005, when I turned 40, I was diagnosed with cardiomyopathy, which is congestive heart failure. I was told that I had probably a year to live. And my heart was so enlarged, it looked like the Grinch's heart in an x-ray. I was just scared to death. It was so life-altering. It changed my whole life around. But listen, I'm still here today, 2017, and I can guarantee you a lot of it had to do with me getting involved with the American Heart Association, and learning how to take care of myself, better myself, do things for myself, talk to my doctors especially, and get out there and give back to the community and educate others as well. It's become my lifelong mission now, and God has opened up so many doors for me because of it, and I'm very proud to do the work that I do for the American Heart Association. I also am active with the Cancer Society, prostate cancer, colon cancer and all that, breast cancer awareness, domestic violence at different periods throughout the year when those things are being talked about and discussed and advocated. I advocate those too. But my #1 is American Heart Association. That's my passion because it's so prevalent, and I've lost many family members, I've lost many loved ones, and so I really speak up for those things. And you'll find that I do get involved in, I'm an activist in a lot of issues too. So heads up about your heart. Take care of yourself, eat right. And if you don't know where to begin, Google it. I'm telling you, Google can give you lots of answers. But for the Heart Association, you want to go to www.heart.org. And we hope to see you there. You share your story, share someone's story, bless someone, and helping vote for them to be a leading lady or something. Make a difference. But whatever you do, get involved. And you can help pass legislation too to get different acts passed into law to help us with this healthcare reform. Because as you know, we have a new president now, and they're talking about making big changes to health coverage. So we need your support in getting involved with that as well. So go on www.heart.org and look for you'rethecure.org. And you can go on there, hit Take Action button, and vote by just filling out a little bit of information with your computer, and you'll be signing papers through the computer, e-signature they call it, and it goes right to your legislature, your local state representatives, and so on and so forth, elected officials, and they will get those letters and petition signatures to get those bills passed. So you can make a difference. Do what you can. www.heart.org. TC Eckstein vocally signing off. God bless you. See you soon.
creativity is the ability to be daring. It's a challenge to be fresh and original. When you talk to people and when you get into their lives and what makes them who they are, they're going to tell you something about them that you'll be able to use when you dress them. And that will sort of lead you into the fresh and original way. I think creativity means to be self-expressive and to be fearless. I'll do things creatively that will inspire me. I'll see a gallery and I'll walk through the gallery. I'll start thumbing through my books again. I have to feel like my environment is conducive to me thinking creatively, because the journey that you go on when you start a film is 200% of your giving yourself creatively. A costume designer is a storyteller. They tell the story through the colors. It actually paints a world through texture and fabric and character. Generally, I like to read the script and experience the story. Just experience the story. And most of the time, color pops into my head. I see the palette, whether it's a dark story or a light, happy musical. The second time that I read the script, I actually do focus on the images of each character. And then the next time I read the script, I'm breaking it down in terms of each individual character. It talks about white gloves and small brown hands, black patent leather shoes and spirited feet. And then I have my subject, and that's one of the little girls. There is a point that I go into my research and I start pulling out books that are either of the time period, things that I feel are the right color palette, things that inspired me from the script, and I capsulize a smaller library that I spread out and I say, this is the period, this is the color palette, this is the characters. I used to go to the libraries and to the magazine stands, and I'd spend a lot of money on magazines, and I still have those, and I still love actually having a notebook that's all 1950s research. Having that resource right there at your fingertips is the spark. It gets me started. And that leads me to the boards. I'll create a board that will have illustrations of the characters, and that includes the likeness of the actor, their body type, and the costume. And that's part of the process of telling the story, showing the director the script from start to finish. Ultimately, the director's vision is what we're all being inspired by. But my job is not done. It has just really begun. You really want to get to what it is you're doing, what's the color, what's the look, and go out and implement it. I'll swatch with fabrics that have the right flow, whether they're soft or whether they're rigid. One of the aspects of the process that I love is the fittings. Many times your boards, your illustrations, your color palette, your swatching, all that goes out the window when two artists come together and decide, how can I tell this character's story on me? So I spend a lot of time with the actors. Our fittings are generally 2 hours. They become, my canvas. Tells, wow, looks good on you. Come look in the mirror. I love both period and modern equally. I thought I got into this for period films only, but when you get a chance to do something like really high fashion, it's stimulating and it's invigorating and it's a lot of fun. The same as with period. You have to do research for both. You're always using this modern brain of yours to communicate something that will be appealing to people today about something of yesterday. I do a movie, and then when I'm off, I'm still me. The creative energy is always there. I'm being influenced by things all the time. What relaxes me in between is painting, because understanding how colors work together, understanding color palette is a big part of what I do. So if I'm not working, I'm creating something. It's important to me, like being outside in the fresh air. It just becomes something you have to do. I enjoy collaborating and coming up with ideas with other artists. That's what costume design is to me. You get to sort of sit back and see the fruits of your labor. That's why I love being a costume designer. I truly can't see myself doing anything else. Wow, who turned the camera around and pointed it at me? But it's wonderful to be here, and thank you, Essence Magazine, and all the nominees, the honorees tonight. I'm in the presence of greatness. Ava DuVernay, we fought so hard for Selma. Selma was a labor of love, and I'm so, so proud of it, and I'm so happy you chose me. Those are some fierce Louboutins to fill. I'd like to thank my mother. My mom was my first teacher. She was a counselor for the city, and she just would talk to people who needed someone to listen. And my brother and I would ride to school as she was driving us as she went to work, and we'd laugh at, people we'd see, and she'd say, "Oh, that's Mr. Thomas. He looks okay. He's got a clean shirt on, and, good shoes. He looks okay." And those words allowed me to hear and see and take pause and look at people differently. And I began to see the story behind the people. People assume that I became a costume designer because I love Chanel, Dior, McQueen. But instead, it was Lorraine Hansberry and Langston Hughes and James Baldwin, Nikki Giovanni, Maya Angelou, and Sonia Sanchez. Those were my designers. These playwrights and poets ignited my creative spirit with their rich stories that showed that being a visionary is being artistic and visual and inspired. It's realizing the presence of your power. To the actors who stood beautifully in the mirror and shared the power of their presence, thank you. Thank you to Ruby Dee as Mother Sister, Esther Roll as Aunt Sarah, Whitney as Emma, Lorraine Toussaint as Amelia Boynton. Thank you to Halle Berry as Vivian in Jungle Fever, as Niecy in Babs, and Frankie as is in Frankie and Alice. Thank you, Oprah, as the butler's wife, Gloria, and activist Annie Lee Cooper. Carmen Ejogo as Sparkle and Coretta Scott King. And thank you to Angela Bassett as Stella, as Betty Shabazz, and as Tina Turner. Can you feel the power of our presence? Thank you for allowing my vision to harmonize with yours, bringing to life such powerful characters, some of whom have changed the world. On the set of Lee Daniels' The Butler, Oprah was getting ready to perform a scene in the Louisiana countryside. She was wearing the 80s multicolored tracksuit we all know so well. We were feeling inspired, and she says to me, art is prayer. It's God expressing himself through you. Oprah, little did you know that was an aha moment for me. I have been seeking a deeper spiritual practice my whole life, and didn't realize I was already doing it. It is my hope that my life serves, or my career serves, as a model for young designers to discover their passion, to find their artistic vision, to embrace it as we strive to change the world through the power of our presence and our vision for tomorrow. Thank you very much, Essence.
For years, it seemed like a dream. About our mother, could this be true? What you don't understand is, we didn't know nothing about nothing.
Scientists had been trying to get cells to grow outside of the human body, but they would always die. Until Henrietta's cells came along.
I want to write a book about your mother.
Go healer, that's my mother. Hope I don't regret this.
Everyone's saying Henrietta Lacks donated themselves. She didn't donate nothing. They took them and didn't ask.
The hospital is guilty, and somebody's going to pay.
God wanna have a disease cure, he provide one for himself.
I don't know, Rebecca.
I'm not doing anything behind your back. Henrietta helped develop the AIDS cocktail, chemotherapy treatments.
It's hard not to get caught up in hope when you've been powerless for so long. I know I'm a part of you, and you're a part of me.
Ruth Carter has worked as a costume designer for more than 25 years. She's designed the wardrobe for films such as Malcolm X, Amistad, Lee Daniels' The Butler, Selma, and many more. She began making bold moves early on in college.
Costume design for me is, I feel, like a amalgamation of everything that I've ever done my whole life. I started when I met Spike Lee in 1986, and Robbie Reed, who's a casting director in the industry, brought him to see this show that I had given my time to, and I was a costume designer. You know, I did I'm Gonna Get You Sucker with Keenan Ivory Wayans back in the day. I did the goldfish shoes, and you know, I didn't know at the time that people were gonna fall in love with those goldfish shoes. I made those goldfish shoes in my apartment. You couldn't even walk in those shoes. We had to keep filling them with water, putting the goldfish back in them.
We can see some of Ruth's recent costume design in Selma, a film that depicts Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s struggles throughout the civil rights marches of Selma, Alabama.
Oprah was the first one I did, and she needed to see what her character was going to look like. I didn't want her to be the same person from The Butler, so I really worked hard on finding people from the real 60s Southern landscape from Selma. I took a picture of it with my phone and I texted to her, and I said, here she is, and she responded back, yes ma'am. I did David Aiello and Martin Luther King's iconic look in the march, one of the marches. To make a living as a costume designer, you have to constantly stay in touch with independent filmmakers because they're the filmmakers, the big filmmakers.
And the Oscar goes to?
I got it. Yep. Oh, okay.
Nope, get
Yep,
it,
we got
okay.
it.
Black Panther, Ruth Carter! This
This is the first Oscar and third nomination for Ruth Carter. She was previously nominated in this category for Malcolm X and Amistad.
Wow, I got it. Wow, this has been a long time coming. Spike Lee, thank you for my start. I hope this makes you proud. Woo. Marvel may have created the first black superhero, but through costume design, we turned him into an African king. It's been my life's honor to create costumes. Thank you to the Academy. Thank you for honoring African royalty and the empowered way women can look and lead on screen. Thank you to my crews around the world who helped bring Wakanda to life. Our genius director, Ryan Coogler. You are a guiding force. Thank you for your trust in understanding my role in telling the African American story. Adding vibranium to costumes is very expensive. So thank you, Victoria Alonso, Kevin Feige, Louis Esposito, Jeffrey Chernoff, Bob Iger, and Nate Moore. My career is built with passion to tell stories that allow us to know ourselves better. This is for my 97-year-old mother watching in Massachusetts. Mom, thank you for teaching me about people and their stories. You are the original superhero. Thank you. It's amazing to come back and talk to middle school, because I remember being in middle school and I remember, being creative. It's kind of nice to maybe one of these children will think of themselves as a creative person and see that there's another person that made it as a costume designer, and they can connect the mindset. I think that I would like the students to take away from my presentation that, that they have a future, that their future can be one where they can design a superhero and they can be involved with some of their favorite movies and projects that they go to see, that there's actually somebody who creates it, and that could be them. Hi, I'm Ruth Carter, and I invite you to watch Roots.
And I hope by the end of the 4-night event that whoever experiences it realize the presence and the power of the women.
Of the women.
And this woman.
And of this woman in particular. And I think it in many ways mirrors the importance and the presence of African American women in our community and in our families.
No question.
It mirrors that in many respects. And you mentioned Ruth Carter. I don't know that she needs this introduction, but she has costumed 40 films, I believe, perhaps over 40. Over 40.
We'll count for you.
The Butler, Malcolm X, Amistad, Selma, Chirac, has received Academy Award nominations. I will say I was able to visit the set in Louisiana, and Ruth allowed us into her sanctuary, really, where the costumes are designed. It, for me, was a light bulb moment. And it was just, to see her work and to explain it was fantastic amongst all of the costumes of Kizzy, Chicken George. You saw Fiddler's outfit. Please tell us the amount of research that you've done, your process to get it right, because you got it so right.
I do a lot of research, yeah, I do. And I have to. I have to know what the clothes were for each era. It's 100 years, and people didn't wear the same thing for 100 years.
Your name is your spirit.